Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's a pretty green week. I'm up about 7% or 24,000. Very nice. It's largely off the back of Friday's move, the Jackson Hole Symposium. Sort of Jerome Powell basically saying the time to adjust policy is now, or rather September. They haven't sort of done an emergency rate cut or anything, but they're hinting that the cutting cycle essentially starts here. Saying various things. They don't want to let unwelcome weakness in the labour market happen, so they'll be responding to data basically. So yeah, pretty much everything is up. So just looking at the CoinShares report, we expected this was going to be a really quiet week, and it has been. We've seen inflows of 30 million, which I said last week was a fairly small inflow week, but this week compared to sort of, billions, $30 million inflow is very, very small. You've seen that sort of largely go into Bitcoin, 42 million into Bitcoin, and an outflow from Solana, just under 39 million, which is a little bit surprising. That's sort of 4% of assets under management. 21 million into the multi-asset, and yeah, 4.2 into Ethereum. Not too bad. Short Bitcoin down. I expect that'll be down again as the prices risen. Possibly was a short squeeze, I guess, and a little bit into the others. And country-wise, good old Brazil. Canada, a bit of inflow, outflows out of Hong Kong, Germany, quite a bit out of Sweden. But yeah, mostly sort of small figures. Looking at the more recent inflows, or outflows rather, in this case, Ethereum first. So we've seen a full week of outflows again after sort of having a little bit of a mixed bag. You saw sort of Monday to Friday, it's all double figure, low double figure, and single figure outflows, as sort of kind of expected. Zero outflow from BlackRock. All the outflows have just been still Grayscale selling down, so they've now had 2.5 billion of outflows. Fidelity still sort of doing okay. BlackRock hit 1 billion in the Ethereum fund, so I'm sure they'll count that as an enormous success, although a lot of that is probably just Grayscale sort of switching, and the rest of the Grayscale is just people that were playing the discount on the fund. So yeah, you've seen sort of reasonable outflows. On the Bitcoin side, it's a little bit more positive. Full week of inflows. You sort of saw, mid double figures, 62, 88, 39, 64. And then on the Friday, whether this was after, all buying after Jackson Hole, but we saw 252 million of inflows overall. So actually saw outflow out of Grayscale, but inflow into the smaller Grayscale. So yeah, whether that is now sort of people just buying that because it's the cheapest fund on the market. But they got 50 million of inflows, so a net 15 million inflow into Grayscale, which is sort of not something we've said for a long, long while. But you saw pretty much inflows across the board as well. The sort of smaller people like Vanek and Valkyrie, nothing into Wisdom Tree and Franklin Templeton. They are sort of very, very small. But then, yeah, you got Ark, Bitwise, Fidelity, and BlackRock. BlackRock as always. But yeah, so a fairly good week. We'll have to see what sort of comes forward from the lower rates. It seems a little bit unusual, potentially Donald Trump and his team not just sort of pandering to the crypto crowd, making statements about what they will do and how he supports crypto. They're actually, it looks like, launching some sort of DeFi platform. I'm guessing this won't be sort of similar to existing DeFi platforms. He doesn't like to sort of quite align himself. When he done his NFT project, he didn't even mention the word NFT anywhere. They were digital trading cards and that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll have to see sort of what they do with it. I think this is sort of largely his kids as well. This isn't sort of something that he's got too involved with. He sort of tweeted about it on um, Twitter and Truth Social. It doesn't seem like he uses Twitter all that much anymore, even though he seems to be best friends with Elon now. But yeah, he sort of posted about it on Truth Social, and this new Telegram group has got 30,000 followers. Although the Telegram CEO was just arrested, so we'll have to see what happens with that. But yeah, be interesting to see what they do with a DeFi platform, sort of while not in office, is a little bit dangerous, possibly. Got more unlocks out of MountGo as well. I think sort of this has been hanging over crypto for sort of 10 years now, and people have been, every year saying what happens when MountGo get unlocked, and it looks like about 2/3 of it has now been unlocked and transferred. Whether it's in all made its way to the actual holders, I'm not sure. Some of this sort of says it's been sent to various addresses, some of it's been sent to exchange addresses, but I do wonder whether every penny of that has sort of actually been divvied up and given to the holders. I expect the early ones have, but I think people are very sort of quick to, jump on like a billion's worth has been transferred to an exchange, and then sort of, 2 hours after they're like, right, no one's sold. And you sort of think, well, they'll probably take a bit of time to distribute it to their individual holders, and you probably need to give it sort of a week or two, a month or two maybe for people come back off summer holidays and it's like, oh, it's back there now. Yeah, maybe I'll sell some of it. But yeah, it certainly looks like this is sort of this large headwind is somewhat coming to an end, if 2/3 of the Bitcoin has now left the Mt. Gox wallets at least. I do think this will probably create a little bit of a headwind as we go higher in price. It looks like people are sort of getting back their Bitcoin and not sort of immediately selling, but they could be selling, when price goes higher, sort of gets to $100,000 Bitcoin, then maybe they'll think, right, I'll take some of my profit now. So you've got sort of, what is it, 140,000 Bitcoin potentially there that, people will think, I'll wait a little bit longer towards the end of the bull market and then sell. But they've sort of been given a hell of an education by being forced holders. They've sort of, said some, depending on the price of when they invested, $1,000 holding on there could be now $110,000, even though they're only getting a fraction of what they held. Some people are up sort of 500x, I would have thought, and they're getting sort of a fifth of what they held, so that is then 100x. So yeah, the fact they're up 100x, they sort of think, well, maybe it is worth holding, but yeah, they're not going to hold to, $1 million Bitcoin, I wouldn't have thought. Not looked at the Ethereum burning for a little while. There isn't too much news, so I thought I'll have a quick look at some of these bits. And yeah, it seems like there isn't that much burning at all. 1,100 ETH burnt in the last 7 days and 18,000 issued. So the uptrend continues. Exactly the same on the 30-day, all bar a tiny little drop. That was the August the 5th Japanese yen issue, or incident. So could have been just a load of stuff happening there and it caused fees and burns, but that isn't sort of bullish fees, if you like. And since the merge, this is by far the largest uptrend we've ever had. It's already had, a couple of small low burn times and sort of stall times since the merge, but this has gone fully inflationary again. Thought I'd have a look at DeFi Llama as well, not sort of been here for a while, just sort of see what's going on. So you've got Ethereum sort of reasonably high dollar volume in total value locked, but I always like to sort of look at this in ETH terms, so that you're not having the price fluctuations in there. And yeah, got to say it's looking pretty good. People sort of seem very bearish on Ethereum, but you're sort of looking at 30 million ETH locked up in sort of various DeFi protocols at the beginning of the year, and that has risen sort of 40 million up to about 43 million. So yeah, things are sort of looking up in that respect. And we've got stable coins. Sort of did reach a high in 2022, but since 2023 you've got, I should put that on USD, although it doesn't really make a difference because it's $1. But yeah, it just sort of highlights the point a little bit more. So yeah, beginning of the year, $66 billion worth of stable coins, and they're now at 82 billion on ETH, although a great deal of that is of course on Tron. So Tron I used to hold and is somewhat of a sort of forgotten token aside from stable coins. So you've seen a continual rise in stable coins. Back in sort of 2022 they were at 30 billion, they're now double that. It's just under, well, 59.5 billion. So yeah, for a $13 billion blockchain, they have $60 billion of stable coins, locked up, being using Tron because it's very cheap, and they all have to use a tiny little bit of Tron. Although from what I've seen, they were talking about gasless Tron usage of USDT. So not quite sure how that works. If you're not using Tron for it, then where is the demand for Tron? But yeah, I'm sure it sort of works in some way. Looking at Solana in Sol terms, again, sort of seen a steady uptrend since the beginning of 2023, really. You had sort of 25 million Sol locked up. Beginning of this year, it was up to 40 million, 35 million, and it has now risen to 70 million. So very nice. Not quite sure sort of what that's in, whether this is counting sort of meme coins and dexes. I think probably more, well, meme coins on dexes, I would have thought. Stablecoin wise, we've seen sort of, it used to be an awful lot bigger back in 2022, and then you had sort of the FTX collapses and all that. It dropped to $1.5 billion, but has since risen to $4 billion. So that's pretty good. Something I did notice and is still continuing to happen is the lack of core developers. Whether these are now being called sort of ecosystem developers, or they're being sort of funneled elsewhere, not really sure, but they're showing 12 core developers now, where they used to have sort of 100 in 2022, and it's just continuously on the decline. They used to have sort of around this amount in 2018, 2019, sort of before the project really started. So yeah, not quite sure about that. If you look at sort of commits to, I guess this is GitHub, that is down as well, so 167 commits. Obviously they've got Jump working on Firedancer as well, the new client, but that's a separate team and they're not core developers. So yeah, interesting. If anybody knows about sort of anything more into this, be interested to hear. But this sort of looks like, on the face of it, core developers abandoning the chain. Do keep an eye on Cardano as well, just sort of see what's happening, whether it was a good sell or not. If it sort of rockets up, then have to sort of be annoyed, but take it as a lesson learned. But at the moment, they don't seem to be. The price might be up a little bit, but they don't seem to be getting a lot of sort of total value locked, or sort of activity really going on chain. Sort of beginning of the year, they were at 650, 700 million of ADA locked up, and they're now at 586 million. So yeah, most other chains are on the rise, and Cardano is still dropping. Looking at stable coins, they've never really been one for stable coins, but what little they had is even dropping. So they were at $21 million. That's $1 million. And they're now at 13, just under $14 million. So sounds like a lot of money, but obviously Solana is at $4 billion, and they're a sort of tiny, tiny fraction of the stablecoin market. You know, when you've got Tron at $60 billion, and it's worth sort of pretty much the same as Cardano, although that is largely what Tron is used for. I'm sure the Cardano bulls will say they have all sorts of other things going on, but yeah, it doesn't seem to be happening on chain for Cardano. The only thing is that sort of caught my eye was this core developers. You know, they have sort of 60 core developers, and you look at sort of commits on GitHub. This is what a lot of people used to sort of focus on. You know, Solana were at 160, I think it was most recently, and Cardano were at 2,228. You know, been at sort of 3,000 for the last few months. So yeah, an awful lot more being posted and development happening, it seems. I do wonder if Solana is just sort of not on the core side and is, you know, the ecosystem developing for it. But yeah, one to sort of keep an eye out for. So looking at coins for the week, last week it was pretty much a red wall. This week is a fully green wall. Everything sort of moves in tandem. You know, rising tide lifts all boats. When Bitcoin's up, everything is up. And yeah, we've got Bitcoin up 5% for the week. Solana up 8.4%. That's doing pretty well. Dropped down sort of over the last day, weekend action. Ethereum up 3%, underperforming a little. Chainlink up 17%. That's doing pretty well. XRP is always underperforming, 3.8%. Audius 23%, that's doing pretty well. Power Ledger 10.6. Polygon is actually the performer for the week at long last. 28% up, so that's pretty good. Internet Computer 13% green. Gala 22%. Quant 7.5%, Basic Attention Token 11%, and VeChain 10%. So yeah, everything's on the up, but we haven't really sort of got into sort of altcoin season yet. That will sort of probably be to come as, you know, liquidity starts rising and people want to sort of transfer their gains into more speculative things. So yeah, we'll have to see. So leave your thoughts in comments below. What you guys are buying or interested in, and like and subscribe. See you soon.